Asha, this is not the first time that you've been in Germany. In the recent months, you have been several times in Germany. But what's the reason that you stay in Germany just right now?
To be with you.
No, you shouldn't joke. What's the true reason?
The reason is because I'm on my way to Star Parade from Munich. Tomorrow I leave for Vienna to do the Star Parade, and then I go back to New York for 2 weeks, and then I come back to Europe.
When you were in Germany for the first time, you were several days here for doing your LP, your album.
That was the third time, when I came to here.
Yeah.
The first time was in '74 when I came to do Hits A Go-Go. Mm-hmm. And then after that, of course, then after that I came again to Germany when they were doing the film Norddeutsch Rundfunk. That film, they did a special which was shown in Hamburg called Talking is My Drug and Singing is My Sex.
What was the idea to produce your album in Germany? How did you get this idea? Because it's extraordinary for an American star to produce in Germany.
I didn't get the idea.
Who got the idea? And how did it come?
Dieter Zimmermann got the idea.
But how did you get in contact?
Through CBS.
But for
because
you
we have the connection, CBS is a big family. It's called the family of music, CBS. And since earlier on, when the albums had been produced by the London CBS people, they had been released here. So Rudi Wolpert, who is the president of CBS already over here in Germany, knew me. We had met, and also I'd met Dieter, but I'd met Rudi, and so it was like we knew each other,
But wasn't it very much risk for you, very risky for you to come over to Germany with a producer?
Why?
To work with a producer you don't know?
But you never know. Even you never. For example, the first album I did, the very first solo album, not the jazz ones, not Ornette Coleman, but my solo album, I didn't know the producer. You never know. To me, producing or making a record. Now I was saying this to somebody today, in fact, at AFN. I was telling them something about the production thing, and it struck me that producing. The producer and the artist relationship, musically, for example, you never know if it's going to work or not. It's like making love. You might find a woman very attractive, and then you never know till you go to bed with her if it really was fantastic or not. Right? So, yeah. Same thing with a producer and a singer. The producer has all fantasies or ideas of what to do with this voice, with this instrument, and whether the end result is fantastic or not. It's a big risk always. Even when you take the best, most famous combinations, they're all taking risks.
But when you were sitting in the airplane, did you already have some concrete ideas you wanted to have on the record?
No.
You came without knowing anything, without wanting anything?
I knew a couple of things as far as ideas go. Well, I knew that I was supposed to come here, listen to the tunes and put lyrics to them. And I knew, obviously, that whoever had written the tune, whether it's Dave King or Dieter Zimmermann, that they also, when they had written the tune, would have had some concept of what sort of words they want for it, So, of course, I didn't know what it was going to be like. So till I hear the actual tune, you never know. So there was no point in my writing lyrics and then coming. In any case, we negotiated for about 2 weeks, and then I came. It was very quick. And they said to me when we did the contract that you come and 10 days you have in Munich to write the lyrics and 10 days for recording in Berlin, and then you can go back.
If I understand you well, that means that you came to Berlin and didn't even know the melody of the tune.
No, of course not. No, I had no idea what the melody was going to be like till I came here.
And how did you do with the lyrics?
Well, that's what I was saying. The only thing I knew was one thing I knew, that on this album I would like to dedicate something or write something for my ex-husband. The gay boy that I had married, my best friend. He's my best friend. He's the godfather of the baby. So I knew that I would like to dedicate some song somewhere for him, which I did. The song Good Night is written for him.
I see. But where do you take the themes from your lyrics, from? If you must have some ideas. You go home in the evening, sit in your hotel room, and
That
must
was
think
it.
about what you are going to sing. Where do you take the ideas from?
I'll tell you. For example, now "The Devil Is Loose" happened in the studio because there wasn't enough time to do. "Devil Is Loose" was the last lyrics I wrote. I was sitting in the studio and it was the first day of the rhythm tracks, and the phone call came and Dieter was on the phone and he was talking to someone and he said, "The devil is loose." He said only that much in English. The rest was all in German. So I just got that title. And at that time they were laying the rhythm tracks to this song. And I was thinking, shit, what excuse my language. I was saying, what should I think of? What idea? What can I put? So when he said "The devil is loose," I said, that's it. I'm going to write "The devil is loose, the devil is loose." And I thought, what goes with that? And then the whole thing developed. And in about 15 minutes, the whole song, I had the whole song and the lyrics. And because once you have a concept, it's easy to rhyme words, choose, lose, booze, excuse, do's, abuse, amuse, which I didn't use.
Go on.
Amuse, I would have liked to use. But,
Okay, I must interrupt you. What kind of music would you say is on the record you did, on the album you did? It's not jazz, it's not funky music, it's something mixture, it's something...
I'm glad you didn't say it's not music.
Oh no. But how would you describe your own music?
I think well, personally, I feel obviously I have to be influenced by my past. So, and even in my lyrics, you see that, like I try to use things like lotus, the concept, the image, to let people know that it's like there's something exotic behind. And also my background, is like that. So I feel that my initial classical training comes a little bit. You can sense it in the way I move my voice sometimes, like the gliding, when I do... this that comes from the Indian classical touches.
Your record wasn't intended to be released in the whole world because in the beginning it was only released in Germany, in Europe, I think, and afterwards, when it had been a great success in Europe, an extraordinary...
Is it? I didn't know.
Well, I think
that it's a success in
already.
Europe yet already.
I think many people know you in the meantime, and then afterwards it was released in America, in the States. Why did you release it in the States afterwards, or am I wrong?
No, you're wrong.
Because there's a story that was told here in Germany that the record was just first made in Germany,
It was made
only
in Germany.
published in Germany, and
Right,
afterwards
this record was made initially for Germany. It was made in Germany, sorry, but it was made for worldwide release. But there are certain contractual things in it which make it difficult. Not maybe difficult or not, I don't know, for certain other companies to accept it. The clauses, what we're demanding from them, that they have to commit something. So sometimes some companies will say, for example, France is doing this now. France says, initially they said, we are releasing it. Because you see, according to the contract, it says that if they do not release it within a month in France or in USA, that was the initial one, that I'm free to sign with a new company, and meaning I'm free, which is not so good actually.
That's true, yeah.
So now CBS France, for example, did this. CBS New York kept me hanging. And then the New York Times review came before they could give the decision, and the time had run off. The time had passed. So now I was in my own... I had,
You had to do something, yeah.
the card. No, because the time had passed. We'd given them 1 month only, these France and USA. The time was over. And so legally, my lawyer or me or anybody from who was involved in this record was free to take it somewhere. But more important, I am free. I was free to negotiate a new contract with a new company.
I see.
You know? This is before the New York Times article came, though.
Okay.
The time was up.
I must control it once more again.
For everybody.
For everybody, that's correct. Yeah, my English
Because
is
then
good.
they'll say, oh, she's such a boring girl. You know, I like to come across like I'm funny.
Okay.
But since you asked me this,
Yeah.
I'm saying it for us.
Of course, but therefore I'm going to change the theme and talk a little bit about your life. You have been born. You was born in Bombay, I think, and
Is it on?
I think it's on.
Oh.
Would you explain your own life? It's better than me telling your life. Would you tell us your own life from your birth, your musical life, of course?
My musical life.
Yeah.
My life is very musical.
Yeah. What does it mean?
No, I'm joking. Well, musical training. As far as musical training goes, I grew up in a family where, I had an older sister, luckily, and my older sister was learning Indian classical music. And she has a beautiful voice, beautiful. And so I would always sit and admire her and listen to how she sings. And so as I grew up, I said, I want to study also. But of course, only in the evening sometimes I would study Indian classical as a child. And then when I went to college, then I had more time to devote to other things, you know, to other arts and extracurricular activities. So then I started concentrating more. I studied, besides doing my college, I was studying opera and Indian classical music. And I was hoping one day to mix the two, Indian classical and jazz.
But this wasn't in India anymore. You forgot to tell us that you went over to America in the meantime.
I went after all that. I went in 1970. In 69 late, I left with the intention of going to America. But first I went to London and I spent 6 months there just trying to feel out, because it was my first time to the Western world, you know. So I wanted to feel out what is happening, get my head straight.
Yeah.
You know, because Indian culture is very different. Our lifestyle is very different. The climate is very different. Everything, it's totally different. So it took me about 6 months to a year to adjust, to get some courage, to go out even, to meet people. Because in India we lead a very, very secluded life. I've never been alone or independent in India because, well, other than always having my families all there. But particularly in India, a girl seldom does much. And usually you have a lot of people around in the house, and they're large families and they're servants, and you get very spoilt in India.
I see.
You know, if you have a little money, even you get spoiled, you know.
But how does it compare? You just told me you studied classical music, opera, and wanted to sing jazz. Does it fit?
Sure, why
How?
not? Because all music is music. Music is beautiful, and you know what Gunther Schuller said? He said there's only two kinds of music, good and bad. That's what I believe in. I love music. My favorite music even now is classical music.
What's it mean that when you're alone at home,
I
you
listen to Pasha Bell and Pasha Bell, I don't know how you say it. And yeah, I listen to classical music, Albinioni.
And the music you do just right now, how would you describe it once more again?
The music that I've done in the new album?
Just now in the new album.
It's a combination, I would say, of my past influences, which is a little bit of Indian intonation, a little bit of jazz, maybe you could call, because that's something I wasn't. And it's disco, a lot of disco in it, and pop. I think, according to me, it's just a beautiful record.
Yeah,
It's good music. It's fantastic music. It's fantastic arrangement, a very good production. It's very innovative. As New York Times put it, they said it's innovative and inventive.
Yeah.
They said Dieter Zimmermann's work, arrangements are innovative and inventive.
That's true, because it's difficult to classify. It's rather new. It's Asha Puthli music, I would describe it.
No, it's Dieter Zimmermann, Dave King, and Ingo Kramer, and all the people that worked on it. It's It's everybody's music.
How was work?
It's more actually Dieter's or Dave's because it's their tune.
Just a moment. The working here in Germany. Let's talk about the working here in Germany. How much could you bring your own ideas, your own feelings of music into this production? Was it the production of Dieter Zimmermann, or how far is it the production also of Asha Puthli?
I really don't know. I don't know. It was just very.
You know what I mean?
No.
I see. You see, you just told me before that you came to Germany without having an idea of the tunes, and either didn't know.
Only
any
I knew
text.
that I would like to write something for, George,
true, yeah.
for my ex-husband, and that's all.
But did that mean that you had to accept all the tunes as they played it? Couldn't you suggest something? Couldn't you?
Only one tune. I'll tell you what happened was we had to do 9 tunes, right? And we had 10 days to do the lyrics. I was very tired by the time I wrote only 8 of the. If you notice on the album, I've written only 8 of the lyrics. Hey Our Love Is Going to Sing is written by Dave King's old lady. Right? She wrote the lyrics because I didn't have the energy anymore left to give. I was exhausted. It was very difficult because of the time pressure. Maybe if there was more time, I could have written for the other 2 too. And then there was one more tune written by either Dieter or Dave, I forget one of them, which we scrapped. Mm-hmm. Scrapped means we took it aside because I didn't have time to write words for it. And we said, what are we going to do? So instead, there were lyrics that somebody had written for me in 1973, which had just been lying. My Buddy and Me. It was written by Nicolas Olivier, an English boy. He's Sir Laurence Olivier's nephew. And he had written it for me in 73 by some things that I may have said in the press. He had gone through my press clippings, and like the line, I'm as real as fake can be and fake as real can be. Little things like that he had taken. And on that, gotten the image of the way I talk, the way I behave, and written the song My Buddy and Me. He had written the lyrics. So that's the only tune for which I gave the melody. But we did it together. Dieter did the chords, and sad because I don't write music, even though I've learned opera, I don't write. So we sat down and I said, well, let's do da 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 da. And then Dieter said, okay, these are the chords, and
I see.
so unison. Mm-hmm. And Dave was there, and he said, okay, then this, each one put a little bit in.
I think you're the first star in the international scene that comes from India. We don't have many in folk music, pop music. We have, for example, Ravi Shankar, for example.
But he plays traditional music.
Yeah, but
it's like if I came here and sang Indian classical.
Yeah, I know that Beatles brought some influence from Indian music to the pop scene.
But they're not Indians.
But that's all,
and they're not Indians.
But no original Indian players. You're the first one from India that appears on the international stage and on the international scene. And
there's Zubin Mehta. Zubin Mehta, but he's in the classical world and he's a conductor.
I mean,
and
pop
Ravi,
scene.
In the pop scene. Yeah. I'm the first singer. Yes.
He's the first singer, yeah. And I read in your biography that you had the intention when you came to America, and please help me if it isn't true. You came to America with a feeling, with wanting to become a star. Is it true?
A legend.
A legend.
Not a star.
They wrote a
there
star
are many
and
stars.
a legend. They wrote.
Well, one doesn't necessarily go with the other. You don't have to be a star to be a legend. You can be a legend without being a star.
What does it mean for you to be a legend, become a legend?
To me, the idea of a legend, in India we have many mythologies, many stories. And for me, a legend is a myth. It's a romantic story. It's something that you never know, is it true or is it not true? Was this person really there? Was she like this? For me, Proust is a legend. For me, Josephine Baker is a legend. I'm thinking of people that have lived in our generation, in the recent, Dostoevsky, Toulouse-Lautrec, Gauguin. These for me are legends because their lifestyle was fantastic.
Would you say that the first step for becoming a legend is already done with this last record?
I hope so. I mean, I don't know how much. I hope so. I mean, it's not left up to me to say that. It can only be seen later.
That's a problem because people often become legends when they're already dead.
That's my ambition.
To become dead?
No, not to become dead. You see, in this day and age, it's a city of survival. Any place is a city of survival. Life, just surviving, is a tough game sometimes, especially in showbiz. One day you're up there, one day you're down there, and it's a whole thing of conditioning yourself to take. The view from the cliff is exciting, but when you come down, it can be very harsh. And a lot of people have ambitions like, oh, I want to make money, or I want to make something material. And when you have ambitions that are very material, if they don't happen, I know a lot of people I know who are about 40, 45, 50, and when they were 20, they used to say, oh, by 30, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and when they don't do it, when they don't get it, it's terrible. It has made them, it's changed their psyche, their personality. They've become very depressed, they've become sad, It's sad because they have to face the fact that they're now 45, almost 50. They're past, they're no more 30. They never made it. They never made the millions they dreamt of making. It's too late now. And they have to be content that this is it. Very few people can actually get there and make that much money, or whatever, or whatever, right?
Yes, that's true.
So mine is not a material thing, right? There are different ambitions, or you can... but my ambition is the kind of ambition that is more romantic, it's more ethereal, it's not something definite. Because I can always, even if I don't become a big, gigantic star in this life, or now while I'm living, now, today, if this record, for example, did not make the charts, didn't make me into a superstar, right? I would always say, oh, maybe it's the next one. Because in any case, I'm not working towards a hit record. I'm not working towards the legend, towards the star syndrome. I'm working towards being a legend, which means that even I can say if a car hit me tomorrow, I would say, oh, I've still left something which is very romantic, which people would still say.
I just want to ask,
which people would say,
that is some kind of very romantic?
Of course. People would still say, do you think it was true? Did that man really ask her to, or whatever? Do you think she really, did Faisal really behave like that with her? Did she really strip in front of these people? Did she really do things like that? People would still wonder, did she really say these things? Was she so stupid? Or
do you lead a life to become a legend? Or do you lead a quite normal life?
I didn't lead in the past.
But now?
Now, because you see, everybody, I think, it's not a thing of, I don't know how to say it, it's not a thing of being a legend that makes me work or tick. It's a certain thirst for life. It's certain wanting to live life very intensely, which is what I want to do. And this is why now I'm leading what I would call for example, friends who knew me before, most of my friends are gay or sort of eccentric or something in the past, right? I have all sorts of friends, but some were like that. And when they see me now, they say, Asha, you've become so bourgeois. They say, oh, what's happened to you? You're not extraordinary. What happened to your wings? I used to have golden and red wings on my hair, and I used to call myself the saint and the whore, Saint Whore. And so what happened? What's happened? But I'm going through a phase where I'm experiencing life. I want to experience every facet of life. And I think when you do that without a fear and without enjoying every moment, every second, it does leave behind an aura to a lot of people. It gives a certain inspiration to a few people somewhere, somehow, maybe,
I think many of the things, or some of the things you just told me, also derive from the culture of your country.
Maybe, yes, of course.
How far would you say goes the influence of your childhood?
Very deep.
Could you explain it a little bit? How far
Very
can we see it in the music you make today, for example? The voice, how you express yourself?
Yes, in the voice you can see it. Even in the first record. You could see it in the first record even. In the voice.
In the voice.
Yeah, it's a certain effect in the voice that I give, which comes from my Indian classical background. And as far as the philosophy of life goes, I mean, even the things I've just told you just now, are things that were embedded in my mind when I was a young child by my grandmother or by my mother when they told me the stories and the mythologies. We have so many gods and stuff. I'll tell you some of the stories because they relate to what I'm saying right now. And of course, when I was little, it was like Le Petit Prince. Have you read Le Petit Prince? Saint-Jean, Exupéry's Petit Prince. And so when you read it as a child, if you're young, you think of it as a nice little story, comic, funny, cute. And then when you grow older, you analyze them and you realize that there's so much more meaning behind these stories. There's so much going on, So same way, when I was young, my grandmother, for example, told me this lovely story, which I'll tell you. It's about a man who goes and he prays and he prays and he prays to one of the gods, to one of the big god and kings, And he says, I want to see your palace. I want to see your palace. God, or king, whatever. Please let me see your palace. The king says, you have to do this much penance, you have to sacrifice so much, you have to sacrifice your wealth, you have to sacrifice your family, you have to sacrifice everything. Are you prepared to do it? He sacrifices everything. He just does penance. Finally, the king says, all right, you still want to enter my kingdom, you still want to see it. And he says, yes, I still want to see it. And he says, okay. If you want to see that badly, he says, I'll give you a permission to enter. He says, come. But he says, when you enter, he says, you have to put this pot of head on your head. You put the pot, and he said, don't drop one drop. Because if you drop one drop, that'll be it. He doesn't say, he says, but he says that'll be it. Like, it might be a punishment, he might be angry, nobody knows what, but he sort of conditions this man into fear, of you've got the pot, don't drop. And he says, okay, now you can enter my palace. So the man enters the palace, takes many days to go through the palace. It's a huge palace. And he enters, and when he comes to the other end, the king is waiting. And the king said, he said, you saw my palace. You've sacrificed so much. He said, what did you think of it? And the man said he couldn't say anything because he was so afraid of that pot on his head that it's going to break that he never saw the palace. You know what the story is about, right? I mean, this is what I meant by about saying that I want to live as intensely as possible. That I don't want to fear anything. I just like to go, flow, and do everything. But I want to taste everything in life. This is why when I had the baby, I felt, and now I lead a different life. For a little while, I've subdued. But I think, again, it'll change. Who knows, because I wanted to taste all the different spices of life. It's like, for me, like drinking the wine of life now. I'm having a big meal, which is life, and this for me is the wine of life, my baby, and having the concept of big motherhood. Too much, I'm saying.
Now that we've seen a lot of Asha Puthli.
Oh, it's too much. You said too much. My friends always say, you've been loud too long. They say, I talk too much. That's why I said talking is my drug.
Okay, but...
Too much. You can cut it.
Yeah, of course I will cut it. I must cut it because it's a little bit too long for us. But what I wanted to say is... I like the story. And what I liked too was being able to talk with you. I want to thank you so much. And I hope this album will be a great success as I hope it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. But